the Grey Hat Beard podcast. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Grey Hat Beards. After chatting a bit to others and to ourselves, we've decided we're going to split it down into smaller chunks. So you'll actually get 4 episodes from this one recording. Going to kick off talking a bit about what we've been up to and what news we've read. And then we're going to go into our topic of the week, which this week is Project Cortex. And we're going to break that down into 3 sections. How will end users use it? How will Cortex make metadata different? And what is Cortex solving? So enjoy the other sections, but we're going to kick off first with some news. So I'll start as I'm babbling on already. And we are actually setting some timers for this. So I'm going to kick off the first timer to try and keep us a bit more on track compared with how we've been before. So I've been up to a couple of things this week from a work point of view, been looking at a very interesting client project where they've got a load of content editor web parts, lots of jQuery, building up some very clever applications, but they want to move it to SharePoint Online. So looking to move that to SPFX, and it's been great to really engage with them as to how you can move and get the most from SPFX. So that's been a lot of fun. Also had Ignite, which I know Al will touch on a bit later, and that inspired me to create a new Power App looking at the Face API. I've always had a big passion for all the cognitive services and the AI stuff in Azure, so created a Power App, and it seems to have taken off. Had a lot more likes and views to my Twitter profile, and the blog seems to be very popular, and it was really good to see and interesting. So I will share a link to that in the notes so you can have a look. Big news for me this week is evil Microsoft coming back. So there's some news that's in the project, sorry, not in the Office Pro Plus rollout. They're now going to enable Bing by default so that you get the Bing Microsoft search, gives you a nice landing page to go and search all your internal content as well as Bing. But whether you're using Chrome, whether you're using Edge, it's going to set Bing as default. And this has caused a lot of noise. I know Andrew Connell wrote a big post on this. I don't know, Al, what are your views on this?
It's always causes controversy when Microsoft try and change the tools that people are using. You know, forcing us to use IE was one thing, but
Yeah.
I think I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, you know, it's Microsoft who are trying to change a different product for a service against the user's will. So, you know, it really isn't. It's not going to go down well. Bing is not where it needs to be. For them to just assume that everybody wants this, and I think their motivation is clear. They want Microsoft Search to be used more, and the integration with Office 365 and the ability to bring, you know, content from Office 365 into that Bing interface is what they're trying to drive. But I think
that's a great driver. That single search from Microsoft Search is a great thing. It's just the way they're doing it, of forcing things on people.
Absolutely. And you know, it's the carrot should be there are benefits to it, so therefore people are going to opt to do it, not you're going to force people to do it.
Absolutely.
And that's where
and
it's going to go wrong.
Plenty of people see a good point on wanting to use this Microsoft Search. Unless they force it, it just feels a bit of the old Microsoft to me, coming back and kind of pushing things to people rather than doing the right thing and letting it come on, which is a little sad.
And I've been using Bing Search for, well, since they launched it last Ignite, with that integration into Office 365, and it works really nicely. You know, I search for a client name, I'll see the internal stuff and I'll see the external stuff, and it has really good use cases. But yeah, the way they're doing it is just going to create resentment.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. You know, Andrew Connell's got quite a following on his blog, and he used that as a big place to kind of shout about this. He doesn't blog huge amounts, and I noticed he sent through the user voice currently on 335, which is pretty big for the user voice. Not quite as big as I thought. So certainly, if you don't like the sound of it, get involved and share that. So, Gary, what have you been up to, and what have you been keeping an eye on?
So this week, been in Azure DevOps quite a lot, using that to essentially bring a project back online to where it needed to be. Customers losing confidence in development work that we're actually doing, mainly because there wasn't the visibility. We were doing the work, but it was seemingly hidden away. Using DevOps to kind of refactor what we built into a series of user stories and features and document those to give us a basis of when we're raising bugs, we can assign them to the individual requirements. And it just kind of became a bit more self-documenting. We were able to then show the customer at the end of the week what changes have been made where, what bugs have been raised, and also the tests that we'd actually done to either confirm that it was fixed or not. So we've got test plans running in there now as well. So that was really good to basically build up that picture of what we've been doing over a couple of days, really quite quickly, and to see the change in how we could develop as well. So we didn't have a build pipeline for automated releases. We put that in straight away. It takes away the resistance of having to do the deployments. We can do more smaller deployments, so the customer can see that as well. And at the end of the week, it was really good because sat down in front of the customer, showed them it, and they were just really happy, blown away to see the visibility. And their words was, this gives us confidence because we can see it. It wasn't that they were saying, you're not doing things or anything like that. It was just purely confidence and visibility.
So you've given them access to the Azure DevOps. They can see what's going on, or?
Yeah. So we've just given them stakeholder access. That was what they requested on the call. The way that they put it was, the way that we were working with them was a very much supplier relationship. We kind of come back with things, and they didn't actually want that. They wanted more of a partner relationship. But they want that. It's how do we enable that that way of working, and DevOps, because it's making everything visible and tracked, and everything is, it was easy for me. I was working with Paul to just give him work to work on. He could work in isolation and do that piece of work, and I knew what was happening. So it made it a lot easier for me to manage that as well, and have conversations with the customer. But yeah, we gave them just basic access so they could look at the test plans as well. We moved the test plans in from an Excel spreadsheet into DevOps, where you could run and track, take videos, take images, and put them all in one place. In fact, we actually got to the point of, rather than raising a bug, we raised a test case that caused the bug. And then we had a place to go back because we had a failure. So then we could actually rerun the test and say, yeah, that change that we've made has fixed it, and here's the expected outcome. Again, self-documenting, which was great.
I think it's really interesting when you talk about that partnership engagement and using DevOps to drive that. I think it's often tricky with consultants and clients how you get that partnership, but it's such a better way of working for both sides in the end.
I think the other thing about it is it starts to demonstrate to them how best to use something like DevOps, which they can then take on internally. So it's almost like, training by stealth. They're getting to understand how they could be working so they can improve their own internal processes as well.
Absolutely. And I think it was an interesting chat. A former colleague of mine that you met the other day, Al, called Jaap Vossers, and he posted a thing about how does Agile work with statements of work. And I think the answer is trust, and building that partnership. You build that trust and can work well together. Yeah, interesting.
I think that is a topic in itself, because I've been in lots of discussions as well about, we live in a world where we know that an agile way of delivery gives us better quality outputs. Unfortunately, the way that we contract work with, we'll say, government agencies and their procurement departments, they don't fit into this agile world. They're still statements of works and outputs, and it's how do you try and get the best of both worlds? So it's, there's a bit of a mixture.
I think that's definitely a topic we should explore. I've scribbled a note on that one. With about 30 seconds left, so we don't eat up too much time. Anything caught your eye in the news recently, Gary?
So the big one for me, there's been a change to the SP DevDocs repository. So this is the repository where if you've got an issue with anything SharePoint development related, so SPFX, even SharePoint workflows and things like that in SharePoint Online, you can raise an issue in the repository and Microsoft will pick it up and try and progress that. Basically, that repository got out of hand. There was hundreds and hundreds of issues that had just become stale. They've taken the decision to have a complete clear out. They've gone through and closed about 300 issues, mainly to try and get a hold of what is current and to give a better experience. Obviously, there's people now with issues that have been open that have now been closed and they've not been looked at. I would recommend, if you are one of those people, go and look at the docs that have been created. If you go into the wiki, there's a whole load of documentation that explains why they've done the changes that they've done. And they've also put information into there, like what you should use the repository for as well. So they're going through and tidying things up a lot. They know that it was an issue. Andrew Connell is the guy that's done all of this. He is just the messenger, though. It's his name that's gone against all of these closures, so he's been getting a bit of
twice
pain.
We're mentioning him this week. We're not sponsored by him at all, I promise.
but this has been worked with Microsoft. It's a Microsoft repository. He's just the messenger. I know that he's been working with Vaser and his team, and it's a Microsoft decision. So don't have a go at Andrew.
Yeah. I think it's good. Maybe something for another week to talk about keeping things clean and resetting. But for now, Al, over to you.
So I guess last week was Ignite the Tour. So not much news coming out of there, but there's a lot of conversations going on there around community and around Power Platform. The London Power Platform user group was there in force with a community pop-up. But it kind of corresponded with a key piece of news for me last week, which was the update to the Centre of Excellence for the Power Platform. So they've taken the Centre of Excellence that was one solution and they've split it into 3 solutions to give it more flexibility, more granularity in terms of what you can control and how it's applied. And that's really followed through into what I've been doing with clients this week in terms of talking about how they manage Power Platform, how they govern Power Platform for the combination of citizen development and enterprise development. So I've had some very interesting conversations with clients around that. And one of the interesting things that they asked me was, well, what about Power Platform? That covers Power BI, doesn't it? But the Centre of Excellence doesn't. So I found a Microsoft GitHub solution around Power BI adoption, which has got some quite interesting things in terms of best practice for setting things, capturing data, and adoption as well. How you start to get people to adopt it as, the self-service, that idealistic BI self-service capability. So that's really some of the stuff that I've been looking into. I guess the other thing that has come about with that is talking to people about how they learn this stuff, how they stay on top of it. And as you probably both know, I am
podcasts are good.
Yeah, a massive advocate of community. So whether it's podcasts, whether it's YouTube, whether it's following people on Twitter, but also attending events, and whether it's things like SQL Bits for that data platform side, or Commsverse, SharePoint Saturdays, a lot of these sessions that, and I know all 3 of us.
There's some good speakers at Commsverse, aren't there?
Yeah, there are. So all 3 of us speak at
some bad ones too.
Hang on,
so
I'm not speaking at Commsverse.
you'll be missing out there, Gary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we are getting a lot of the speakers tied down for SharePoint Saturdays and various events. So yeah, keep eyes open, because we're getting into conference season, as you might call it, before the summer break. There'll be quite a lot going on over the next couple of months. So certainly, yes, I'm speaking at Commsverse on productivity. I'm speaking in Warsaw on to do.
Commsverse. What is Commsverse? I'm sort of sharing the link to the page on the screen now, but for those listening, what is Commsverse?
Commsverse is a multidisciplinary event. It's very, very cheap for 2 days of training by world-class people, presenting a lot of different sessions, but it is quite a broad area in terms of what they're covering. There's quite a lot of UC stuff there, but there's a lot of Office 365.
Focused on Teams primarily. There's sort of a broad world that focused on Teams as the kind of central part to it.
Yeah, and I think, what I'm talking about there is productivity, so general productivity tips and tricks, and then you have people doing much deeper technical sessions. I think, Kevin, are you doing your bot again?
Yep, the Where on Earth bot is coming back out, so those from CPS may be famous there for a little while.
But then, if you are based further north, as in Glasgow, then you have the Scottish Summit in February. I think, Gary, you're at that one, aren't you?
I am at that one. Yeah. 800 people have signed up for it now.
Mm-hmm.
They keep releasing the odd few tickets. So it looks like it's going to be a really, really good event. But they keep releasing like odd batches of 10 tickets still. So there are some still around.
I think there's 900 tickets and 90 speakers, so it's going to be a big event, and that really that's stemmed out of a Dynamics event, but now has everything from Power Platform through to Office 365 and Azure. It's got very broad level of information, so
it's interesting as yours come into that as well. I know Greg Orsuti is going to speak on that, which I hadn't noticed until a couple of days ago. So it's interesting they've really broadened that out as well.
Yeah, they really have done. So that's something to look forward to as well.
Cool.
So we can put links in for the both the Centre of Excellence and the Power BI adoption kit as well.
And just the Centre of Excellence. The best place for that is to have a look at the Power Apps tools GitHub. Is that the best start?
Yeah, that's the best. That's where you download it from. There's a lovely 50-page document. I think you're on it at the moment, the PDF to set it up, which is very, very, very good. The Power BI one is PBIAF at GitHub. So, and that's got, a lot of PBIAF. If it's GitHub and then /PBIAF.
Bring that up. We'll certainly share that
option.
There we go, fantastic.
And there's some really good slide decks in there to help both partners and organisations actually push out Power BI.
Excellent, thanks, really useful. Cool. Well, I think we will take a break as far as everyone listening is concerned as we close up the news part and move on to Project Cortex. Thanks for listening. Stick around for part 2 of this show where we go into talking a little bit further about Cortex, and check out the show notes for the links on the news.